5 things I wish I knew before I hit menopause. Hello, if you're new here, I'm Tracy, I'm 49 years old, and guess what? I'm in menopause. Not even perimenopause, I am full-blown menopause. So I really wanted to talk to you about the things that I wish I had known before I actually hit this phase of my life. So if you're new here, hello, I'm Tracy. It's so great to have you here. If you're brand new here, say hello in the comments. I'd love to welcome you here. And please do consider subscribing. It's free to do so. Just click on that subscribe button. Give this video a thumbs up if this is gonna be helpful for you. And definitely let's get active in the comments. You know, I always love that we are creating such a beautiful global community here. So your comments really mean everything to me, and I try as much as I can to respond to everyone. So please, let's get active in those comments. So let's talk about menopause, baby. Let's talk about, if you know that song, you're probably in menopause or perimenopause right now. So as of right now, I am in full-blown menopause. And so the definition of menopause is you have not had a menstrual cycle in a full calendar year, 12 months. So when I first approached menopause, I thought it was so weird. I was fortunate enough because I had already started working with my hormone specialist, and I reached out to her and was like, hey, I haven't gotten my period in a few months. And I was honestly so busy I didn't even notice. But she was like, you know, that's actually really normal when you start taking HRT because you're shifting and changing your hormones. And then it was 6 months and I hadn't. And then finally I was like, I think we're done here. It's been a full year. And I will tell you that one of the first things that I wish I had known before I stepped into menopause was really just like how weird it is. You know, you're so used to from, you know, your teenage years, whenever you got your first menstrual cycle, like that being sort of a marker in your life. And when that is no longer there, I will tell you that was just, it was kind of bizarre for the first few months because, you know, you don't have an explanation for being a little bit more tired, for being a little bit moodier, or for me, it's just kind of like honoring those natural cycles in your body. So that was definitely, it took me a couple months, not really that long. I think that I'm a very adaptable person, and luckily because of my lifestyle, I didn't have crazy symptoms, but that was one of the weirdest things about it. But let's get into the 5 things that I wish I knew, because that was just sort of a bonus one for you. And you will definitely want to stay to the end of this video because the last one is what I think is the most important one. And yes, girlfriend, I am saving the best for last. So the first thing that I wish I knew is this. What I knew about menopause growing up was that women had hot flashes. That's basically all I knew, is like you didn't get your period and you were gonna have hot flashes. And I didn't really know much else of what to expect or what was considered normal or abnormal or any of the things that could happen. You know, I grew up in the 80s and it just really wasn't a topic of conversation. You know, my mom would call it the change, and it would kind of be like in these hushed tones of like, oh, so-and-so's, you know, going through the change right now, or she's acting a little weird right now. She's probably going through the change. So it was just a different time. And I am so honored to be in this conversation with you, and I think that it's a beautiful time that right now in the zeitgeist that we're actually having this conversation more and more and more, and really women being honest about it. But one of the biggest things that I didn't know was that the exhaustion that I was feeling when I was in perimenopause and then in the beginning stages of menopause were due to these hormonal changes. So when I was in perimenopause, what happened was I started just feeling so tired. And I mean tired to the point by 3 p.m. I'm a very highly energetic person, but by 3 p.m. I was like, I'm done for the day. I feel like a dried up prune. And it was like, you know, if I didn't have some caffeine or some kind of boost at around 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I couldn't function. But the thing was, you know, of course, because of my age, I was certainly in perimenopause. I had gone through multiple cycles of IVF, which takes a hormonal toll. I had been on birth control for many years prior to wanting to have a child, so that takes a hormonal toll. And then I had a baby. So all of these things were like making my hormones absolutely nuts. Not to mention at that point, I was, you know, I had my child 3 months before turning 45. So I was really tired. And I wish that I had known that that was a symptom of my perimenopause and that someone would actually like sit me down and say, this is normal, this is to be expected, and it could be helped. To be honest, one of the main reasons why I reached out to my hormonal specialist was because of this reason, because I felt like, you know what? I chose to have a child later in life. That was absolutely a conscious decision. I, didn't get married until I was 40 years old, and prior to that, having kids was really not on my radar. So I was a late bloomer in that sense. And because this was my choice, I was like, you know what? If this is gonna be the rest of my life, I'm not gonna go through the rest of my days feeling exhausted, feeling tired, having my daughter, say like, Mommy's tired. Like that was not the story that I wanted to write. But I really wish that I'd known that there was something that I could have done and that these symptoms that were coming up of exhaustion was a strong symptom of perimenopause for me and really major, major hormonal disturbances. I went to my gynecologist when this first happened and he did my blood work. This is after I had my daughter and he was like, you're normal, everything's fine. He's like, you're just a new mom. But I was like, I knew intuitively that something was up. I knew intuitively that this feeling of being so tired, of feeling like I need a stimulant, like a caffeine or something like that to really pep me up was not okay. Yeah, sure, of course, being a new mom is challenging, but I also thought like I was sleeping through the night. My kids slept like 12 hours a night. She was always a really good sleeper. I eat healthy food, I exercise, so I knew something was up. And it wasn't until I worked with the first hormonal specialist that I worked with where she was like, oh yeah, like your levels are completely off, but you really need to dive in deeper in order for them to get that information. The next thing that I absolutely wish I knew before I hit menopause was how much you are going to have to advocate for yourself. So just like I shared with that gynecologist story about, him just saying like, yeah, it's normal, it's the age you're at, you're a new mom, like, I was like, that's not good enough for me. So unfortunately, getting specialized hormonal coverage is often not covered by insurance. And this is something I really, really hope is going to change because unfortunately, it's really women that are at a lower income level, and they've even done research that African American women have even stronger symptoms of menopause. So this is something that anything that I can do to help change this, I will. Women should have coverage. Women absolutely should have coverage for menopause. It is a normal part of life and it affects absolutely every part of your life. When your hormones are unbalanced, when you don't feel good, absolutely no one is benefiting. You're not going to be a great wife, you're not going to be a great mom, you're not going to be able to function in your job. You're just plain and simple not going to feel good. So I'm here to tell you, if you're in perimenopause or even if you're in menopause right now, you've got to advocate for yourself. Demand answers, demand testing, ask for questions. Don't accept that it's just normal as an answer. I'm so happy as someone who is now in menopause that I do have care, that I do have support. I know that that is a more privileged place to be. I'm completely aware of that. And like I said, I'll do whatever I can to sign the petitions, go to the march, do whatever to make sure that all women get coverage for this. But unfortunately right now, from my heart to yours, you have to advocate for yourself. Ask questions to your doctor, ask for referrals, have conversations, really, ask for tests, because just not feeling good and having that brush off it's menopause, not good enough. Third thing that I really wish that I had known before hitting full menopause is how much it absolutely can affect your mental health. I do think that this conversation is now starting to change, where we're now realizing how much this can affect your mental health. But prior to that, like I said, the only thing I knew about was hot flashes. Your mental health can hugely be affected when you are in menopause. And in fact, they've linked suicide and depression for women that have been going through menopause. So if you're in perimenopause right now, even if you are not even in perimenopause, they say it can be up to 15 years before your last period. So that period of perimenopause is quite a long chunk of your life, right? So it's really, really important that if you all of a sudden are having, intrusive thoughts or feeling low or feeling depressed or, whatever, just having some weird changes happening for your mental health, get the help and the support that you need. Talk to someone. Your mental health is, I don't have to tell you, it's so important. It's going to affect everything. And, for me personally, one of the things that really came up for me after having my daughter was I just felt blah. And it wasn't like, postpartum depression or anything like that, because this was like, after she had been like maybe like a year and a half, 2 years, but I just kind of felt this general like feeling of like malaise. Like I wasn't really like excited about anything. Everything just felt kind of like blah to me. Things, and I'm a really like happy person by nature. I'm a very excitable person. I'm very like energetic person, but I just kind of felt like, about everything. And that was like, now looking back, like that was a key symptom to me, like something is up and you need some support around that. And when, I first hired my first hormonal specialist, started just taking supplements, and, most of it was just supplements like vitamins, things like that. And it really, really helped me tremendously. And it's like, you don't really realize that those lights are off or that those lights are dim. And what I mean by lights is like your personality, until you're on the other side of it and you're like, wait a minute, I used to feel so crappy. I used to feel so like blah. I used to feel so foggy. I used to feel so whatever those symptoms are. So, just know that when you're in perimenopause and menopause, your mental health will likely be affected. So really be mindful of any weird symptoms, be mindful of mood swings, be mindful of, like I said, like lack of interest or even just that low feeling of blah. Again, that is not something that we need to accept. You are meant to feel good. You are meant to feel energetic. You are meant to feel healthy. You are meant to feel vibrant at all ages and all stages of life. I know I am a broken record, but there's a reason for this, because it's my mission for you to feel good no matter what your age is. And when we don't feel good in our head and in our mental health, we're not going to feel good anywhere. It doesn't matter if your body looks amazing. If you feel like crap inside, it's going to affect your life. So get the help and the support that you need. So I'll leave some resources linked down below in the description box, but just know, just accepting that as, oh, it's normal. It's not. You're supposed to feel good. Next thing that I wish I knew before hitting menopause was that I had to change things up. Everything that I was doing before, it just wasn't working for me. I used to love doing cardio. I used to like thrive on doing cardio. I considered myself a little bit of a cardio queen. Look, I grew up in the 80s, and I know I've talked about this before. In fact, I've done a whole video about what I do as a nearly 50-year-old to look at least 10 years younger. So if you want to check out that video, we'll leave it linked in the cards and also here. Definitely check that out, because I really break everything down for you. But what I realized in menopause was that the level of intuitive listening that I had to incorporate into my body and how I worked with my body specifically from a fitness standpoint really had to change. Now, I want to give you a little bit of context around this. So I'm almost 50 years old, and I've been a certified personal trainer and Pilates instructor for over 25 years. So for half of my life, I have dedicated this to being my life, all right? And even me as a fitness professional was like, wait a minute, I have to really change things up, because number one, doing tons of cardio, it just didn't feel good on my body. Number two, it was leaving me exhausted. And number three, it was also quite honestly leaving me feeling flabby, which, who wants to feel flabby and tired? No one. So what I did start changing was incorporating a lot more Tabata workouts into my fitness routine. And the reason being, I love Tabata workouts because it's 20 seconds of intense cardio with a 10-second rest built in. So inside my fitness membership, Total Body Transformation, we have loads and loads of Tabata workouts, because as I'm going through the change, so are you with me. And so I'm really tailoring and tweaking my workouts, and the women inside of my community, they're getting all the benefits of any kind of advancements and changes that I'm doing. But the truth is, Tabata workouts, number one, are super fun. They're very effective. They produce great results, and they are fantastic for your hormonal health. So if you want to check out Total Body Transformation, if you haven't already, we'll leave it linked up in the cards here and definitely down below. Do check it out. It's really an amazing, amazing fitness program, especially for the underserved market of women like us that are in perimenopause and menopause, the over 40 set. It is your new home. So another thing with that sort of intuitive leaning in with my fitness was I had to really be okay with having a workout be just a walk on some days, like taking a walk outside or being in nature. Because what I realized was that, I couldn't push it as hard as I used to before. And in fact, I started noticing that when I was pulling back a little bit and being more gentle, that I was actually getting better results from my workouts, and my body was starting to lean out even more, that I was getting more muscle definition. And the reasons being, nature is extremely grounding for you. It's really supportive for your hormones. It's proven to be really good for our mental health, right? And a gentle, walk, but like going for a walk for like an hour or something in nature, getting some vitamin D, it's so helpful not only for your body, but also for your mental health. And that really matters, especially as we're moving in and through menopause. And the fifth thing that I wish I knew before I hit menopause was that your life can actually get better. Like I said before, in the 80s, it was sort of like hush hush, at least in my home it was. People weren't really talking about it like they are now. And so I think it's really important for us as women to not use menopause as like the excuse for all of our problems, right? I'm not saying, and I'm not minimizing that absolutely when we are in hormonal distress, it can feel awful. It can affect your mental health. It certainly can affect your physical health. It can affect your weight. It can affect your moods. It can affect your skin. And it can affect, all of these things, even your relationships, right? And there are resources and there is help that you can get, and there are things that you can do. But I promise you, your life can get better, I am here to take a stand for us as women, as menopausal women, as perimenopausal women, as postmenopausal women, to say that we can get better, we can feel better, we can look better, and we are meant to be seen. And that's really my mission on this channel. And I really feel like it's one of the reasons why I was put on this earth, is to just help women and to be an example, and to know that we are all in this together. I don't have all the answers. I do not have all the answers, but anything that I do have experience with, I'm definitely going to be sharing it with you here. Talk with your friends about menopause. Talk to your doctors about it. Get a hormone specialist. Get on HRT if that's a choice for you. And I currently am actually on HRT, and for me, that was one of the best decisions that I ever made. It really helped me. So I started off with supplements with the first specialist that I went to, and now for the last about a year and a half, I've been working with a doctor who specializes in hormonal health, and that has made a marked difference for me for having a combination of supplements and medication to really help me navigate through this process. One thing that can wildly affect your symptoms during menopause is your lifestyle. I've heard it from numerous doctors that I've been honored to be able to have conversations with, or in the room, or seeing doctors on panels about menopause. And the thing is, the number one thing, even more than HRT, is your lifestyle and your nutrition. So what does that look like? What are you eating, right? Are you hydrating? How are you moving your body? What is your mental health like? Are you sleeping? All of these factors, they say, are even more powerful than any drugs that you can take. So that's really the foundation of everything. And that's what, as a certified trainer and a holistic health coach, I'm absolutely certain that I can help you all with. So dive into this channel, dive in. There's so many resources here. Leave me a comment. I really hope that this was helpful for you. Think of me as like your menopausal big sister. So random that this is like where I'm at in my life, but this is where we are, and I think it's a beautiful thing, and I still feel like I want to talk about this. I still feel like a beautiful woman. I still feel like an attractive person, so do not let that seed of doubt go into your head of saying like, oh, once menopause hits, like you're no longer visible, you're invisible, you're unattractive, you're, whatever those stories are, it's a load of BS. Look for examples of other people that inspire you, that make you go like, wow, that woman's in her 60s, her 70s, her 80s, and look at what she's accomplishing, look at what she's doing, right? So that's what I have for you today. I really hope that this was helpful, informative, and inspiring for you today. Like I said, please let's get active in the comments. I really want this to be a conversation between us. So let me know if this helped you, if you've got any tips or insight, please let me know. Let's get active in the comments. And again, I'd love for you to consider subscribing. It's totally free to do so. And I put out new videos every week. All right, I'll see you next time. Bye.